Yeah.
Somebody else who got along with Ruby was a fellow trumpeter, was Dick Sudhalter, who had great admiration for Ruby. Ruby was one, probably the only trumpet cornet player closer in age to Dick. I mean, he was older than Dick, but he was closer in age than anybody else that he admired, like, Bunny Berrigan, Louis, Bobby Hackett, and so on. Ruby was a little closer in age. In any case, he was a big fan of Ruby's, and had some interesting things to say about his playing. He had that wonderful big sound, and that was such a thing that set him apart from most other trumpet players his age, because it's really what you have to do when you play bebop. You can't play bebop with a big sound. It's too fast. The notes would linger too long, really. You have to do, what Dizzy did, and Dizzy had a fairly shallow sound. It was great what he did, but you couldn't have done that with a big vibrato. Forget it, it's not possible. Ruby tried his hand at reviewing. You remember that? For Saturday Review, he reviewed records, but he was a pretty tough critic, and didn't last very long, because it didn't exactly make him beloved for the people who he reviewed, except the ones that he gave. And I remember he actually reviewed a Sonny Rollins thing, which I thought was not very brilliant, I really didn't like that at all. Sometimes what he did was quite funny. and he also did appreciate things, But it was a mistake. And Kenny Dorham made the same mistake with Downbeat, and I was involved in that a little bit. When I came in, he had already started doing that. I didn't encourage him to do it, but I was his editor when he was doing it for a little while. Then he stopped. But it's always a dangerous thing to do for a musician to pass judgment on others. It's one thing when you do a blindfold test and you just, comment on one thing. Although that can have effects too. Like, what did Miles say about, who did he say about that he sounds like somebody standing on his foot? Sounds like somebody standing on his foot. And then another one he said about somebody that he was being praised by the critics, and that the critics must have been drinking too much coffee. You don't get that kind of thing anymore. Miles is another story. Did we talk about Miles at all? I think we did. I want to do that.
Okay.
My neighbor, he was right down, next door.
Let's take a break and talk about Miles.
Oh, okay.